after all of this, looking through my Reddit and looking through people talking about, I want kind of Muta that covers the deep web or haunted gaming back.
Yes!
And it's one of those things that I address. After covering this, it's not that I'm going to stop covering it. This kind of stuff really genuinely interests me and sparks my eyes, as some of you can tell. But I do feel after covering this, I need something on a Sunday that lightning rods my channel into one specific theme. And maybe it's time deep web browsing comes back for good on Sundays. Maybe we go from episode
Haunted Gaming
all the way to episode 4.
Haunted Gaming?
Because the internet is growing.
No, come on, do Haunted Gaming again, please.
It's time to actually go across and, you know, cover things in the haunted gaming world.
Yes! Yes, let's go! I'm actually slowing out. Yes! Oh, Haunted Gaming is back, baby. Let's go!
He was confused as it said that it was...
Hold on. I just had a sudden fucking urge to check and see something. He has a website where you were able to submit creepypastas. I want to find the one that I've written. Please.
You want to submit it?
No, I want to find the one. I already submitted one. The SOG wiki yet? Oh, is this it? Oh, shit. Oh, can I look it up? Come on, come on. I think I remember what it was called. I think I found it. I think I found it. This picture is so edgy. Why did I ever do this? Tune in tomorrow. I'm going to bookmark this. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to read this on the stream. We're going to read this on stream.
What the fuck are you gonna read?
I found it. I found this old edgy ass shit that I wrote back in like when did I upload this? Yeah, this is in 2017. Yes, dude. This is when I was like 16 years old, man. Yes, I found it. Dude, let's go. Yes, dude, let's do this. Let's fucking do this. All right, here we go. Get ready for some mega autism. All right. See what I mean, dude? Look at this fucking picture, man. This is kind of loud. Look at it. It's so fucking, dude. Oh my god. Woo. All right. Sonic's Halloween special. The spherical man sat down at his chair in his office, covered in soot and oil grease. He slumped on his right arm on the table that was before him. It was the 456th time this year that blasted hedgehog had ruined his plans. It was like an unfair game of ping pong. It didn't matter how many missiles he planted in his machines or how many moons he blew up to make a giant laser shooting death planet. The hedgehog foiled his plans over and over again. Ever since he was a little boy, he built machines, often tried to impress his dad, who was too enthralled in his own inventions. He never had time for his little boy, and that Eggman knew that. Wait, he never had time for his little boy, and that Eggman knew that. Then the faithless day arrived. His dad had created the world's fastest life form ever to be conceived, Sonic the Hedgehog. Those words stung his ears like needles. Sonic was an accident. He was never meant to happen. He escaped and made a name for himself around the wilderness. Word got to Sonic that Robotnik was using animals to power his machines. So he did what this is so badly written already. Like, it's just running on sentences and shit like that. His name was Eggman. I don't fucking know. I just made some shit up. So he did what he had been doing. Wait, did I skip? Okay, no, I didn't. What he had been doing to Eggman for the past several decades. He beat him until he broke. Life was never the same after he came home from playing around the power plant to find his father. The one person in his life he spent the most looking up to, and the most to try and impress, hanging from the ceiling in some sort of macabre chandelier. It was the first time in the little egg's life he felt alone. Oh my god, dude, this shit's ass. Eggman spent years making the perfect plan to get rid of Sonic, but everyone knew how that went. Eggman occasionally thought of himself in the past why his father decided to do what he did. Now he knew. That fat old engineer was out of ideas. He began to cry in his desolate space of a room. His cries grew louder with a single... I cannot read. His cries grew louder, and the single light hanging from the ceiling grows dimmer. What was once a bright light had filled the room months before, displaying a plan to wipe the pest of blue blur. To wipe the pest of a blue blur off the planet was now but only an illuminating Eggman and his table full of tears and failure. Little eggs. I give up. I can't get up anymore, he wept. That hedgehog has done it for the last time. I should just end it. There's nothing less. I swear to God, The bulb of light stopped dimming, and so did the vengeful egg's thoughts of giving up. He remembered once as a child in his dad's library, a book. This book described theories of witchcraft, hell, and the big-horned ruler of the underworld himself. He quickly stopped his flashback and thought, don't be stupid. You're a scientist, for Christ's sake. A scientist who was out of ideas. Or you're a I said it. Blah. End of quote. So don't be stupid. You're a scientist for Christ's sake. A scientist who was out of ideas and could not explain how to defeat something that was already 10 miles ahead of him, figuratively and literally. I thought Eggman was sad before Sonic got born. I don't. This is my own like in-universe thing or whatever. All right, it's not like canon. All right, dude. But he built robots. He's not alone. He built robots, bro. The fucking music, dude. When people didn't know how to explain things, they usually resorted to religion. Something good happened, it was because God was watching over you. Something bad happened because the devil was looking down upon you. He began to hyperventilate with excitement. His mind was no longer sealed with the knowledge of mechanics and science, but cracked with insanity. If this won't work, I don't know what will. He then began to laugh, his iconic laugh. That's such like a Oni that's just like a Oni plays voice. It's like he's taking a 10-minute iconic nap. His iconic laugh of evil, only this time it would be his last. Welcome home, Sonic. Oh wait, no, this is like a time skip, all right. Welcome home, Sonic, Tails said excitedly. Sonic and Tails had been best friends ever since Sonic found him wandering about the forest, building machines. What did the devil be looking from below? I don't fucking know. Sonic and Tails have been best friends. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Him needing a smart sidekick to better combat Robotnik. Asked Tails to tag along. Tails, being desperate for a friend, giddily obliged. I got a new present for you, Tails. Sonic then revealed behind his back, holding up scraps of Eggman's new robot goon. This huggajuk kept getting on my nerves, he stated. Nerves. He started to do some weird new move I've never seen before. He actually almost got me a few times, like he tried to catch me instead of trying to kill me. Imagine that. Tails opened the door wider for Sonic, closed the door behind him, and began to walk with him to the table where Sonic then plotted the robot. Sure does look weird. I'll have to look at it later. Anyways, how was your day, Sonic? Tails said. The usual jazz, Eggman building things go boom, Sonic said casually. Hey, actually something different did happen. He went away without saying anything. After I destroyed his silly mech, he just up and left, not even screaming in an accurate Eggman voice, I'll get you next time, Sonic. The more I hear you read, I imagine the writing on paper while everything is on fire. Yeah. Dude, I was cooking, bro. You think he's finally given up? Tails asks curiously. Nah, me and that man have been at it for ages. I could tell some part of him actually has some fun trying to figure out how to destroy me, replied Sonic. Or Sonic replied, whatever. Well, I'm gonna go to bed. See ya, Tails, Sonic said optimistically. Good night, Sonic, Tails mumbled as he was so wrapped up in analyzing the scraps Sonic had left as a gift. How nice of him, he thought, with a sarcastic yet happy smile. I'll figure you out later, Tails said to the pile of junk. He then got up and walked up the stairs to brush his to brush his teeth and then climbed the ladder above Sonic's lower bunk. And with that, the duo fell asleep, dreaming about fantasies. As if on time, the hunk of metal began to dimly light up. It began to repair itself enough to be able to do its given function, catch that hedgehog and bring him to the chamber. It crawled up like a spider up the stairs and rested its artificial eyes on the blue blur. Its movements were slow and deliberate, crawling its way to Sonic, not making a peep. It was now looking into Sonic's resting face, unaware of what kind of hell this creature was going to put him through. The mechanical parasite injected a sleeping agent into Sonic, making him unable to wake up or even feel anything for the next 5 hours. Its back opened up to reveal a makeshift cage it made out of the parts it had left and gently picked up Sonic like a mother and her baby and ever so delicately placed him in the baby carriage. Is it Eggman's catchphrase is curse that foul hedgehog? I don't know. There's two different. There's the Eggman from the Archie comics, or not the Archie comics, but the Archie fucking the TV show, and then there's Dr. Robotnik, which is from the early Sonic games, and then there's Eggman from like the 2000s and then on. Apparently, and then Sonic Adventure, these are like two completely different people. I don't know. Eggman had a maniacally wide smile. Wait, did I skip anything? Okay, no, I didn't. Eggman had a maniacally wide smile and was wearing formal attire. Sonic had his back against the cage now, and Eggman began to whisper. Sonic's mind was going crazy. Why was that fat jerk whispering? Why is he in a cage? Why is there candles? What's going to happen to him? Sonic then heard another whisper coming from behind him and quickly turned around to see nothing. Yet the sound was still coming from there. And then another whisper, and another, and soon there were all whispers all around Sonic. The sound was like a viper constraining its, which, by the way, vipers don't constrain prey. This is stupid. Like, vipers don't constrain prey. They tag their prey and they fucking... Yeah, whatever. Actually, just as Sonic was about to scream, it all stopped. He looked around for he had... What the fuck? He looked around for he had his eyes closed and saw nothing. Not the cage nor the candles. Sonic felt a heat surrounding him and getting increasingly hotter. It felt like a natural fire, but there was none to be seen. It was getting so hot to the point where Sonic began to sweat. He was afraid he was going to eventually boil alive. Then there was fire everywhere as Sonic opened his eyes. And there's also the other Robotnik famous for mispronouncing snooping as usual. Oh yeah. Is that where he says what does he say? Snooping as usual. What was the meme? Pingus? Was that where Pingus comes in? Yeah, Pingus. Dude, Pingus.exe, bro. Sonic was then showed rapid images in his head. I think this part was like inspired by fucking whatchamacallit, Event Horizon. Sonic was then showed rapid images of his head. He never saw the creatures and the torment, but it played out in his brain as if it was a subliminal. The last thing Sonic saw was a creature with empty sockets, bleeding black liquid oozing out, and a snout with lips that curled way too high for anything natural. Behind those gums were many teeth and fangs. Incisors were growing out of every corner of the gums. The body was the most gruesome. The creature was overweight and had slits going down the belly. Oh, you know what? Oh shit, I completely forgot about this. I actually drew this thing. Give me a second. Oh my god. I know where to find it. Let me show it on stream. I drew this thing. Give me one fucking second. I didn't draw it for this creepypasta. I just drew this creepy fucking weird monster thing. Oh my god, please tell me I have it somewhere. Like I drew this monster thing. And I just felt like incorporating it into the story for no reason. The numbers, Sonic. What are the numbers? Yeah, what are the numbers, Mason? Dude, I know I could find it. I know I could find it. Come on. Come on. Dude, come on. I know I could find it. Come on. Yes, I found it. I found it. All right. I'm gonna show it after I finish the description. When you're done with the Sonic comic, I need to know what you're looking for a server. I don't know, maybe soon. Rapid images his head, the last thing. Where was I? Oh yeah, bleeding black, liquid oozing out in the snout with the lips. Blah 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 blah. The body was the most gruesome. The creature was overweight and had slits going down its belly. Sonic only saw the creature for about 3 seconds in his mind, and that last second showed long bony fingers coming out of the slit, and the belly was pushing away the flesh to make way for a thing he never got to see, but the unholy eyes and the straight, perfect, natural white teeth shaping a smile. All right, this was the picture. Hold on. This was the picture. This was the drawing. I drew this shit. Here. Or can I drag it onto the page and I'll just... Yes, this thing! I drew that. This was the thing from the story. I should have drawn more creepy shit like this. I kind of miss it. That's kind of fire, not gonna lie. Majority of servers just tipsters simping for his goth friends. Yeah, I bet. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Tails awoke to the sun. I know, right? Tails awoke to the sun shining in his face. Good morning, Sonic, Tails said groggily, and looked over the edge of the bunk to see Sonic missing. This didn't surprise Tails, as he usually left before he got up. Though Tails got up more earlier than usual, so there was a little bit of a surprise. It soon turned to anxiety as Tails walked down the stairs to see the scrap of robot missing from its table. He tried to calm himself, as Sonic would always chide him in a friendly manner for being so scared and anxious all the time. Don't worry, Tails. There's nothing to fear in this world. He repeated to himself about 3 times. I'm being so silly. Yeah, it's all really convenient, but maybe Sonic needed to use the table as a footrest or something, and maybe move some parts somewhere else, Tails told himself. He took a deep breath and sat down on the couch that felt oddly cold regarding this theory he conjured. He conjured a few seconds ago, but decided to be blissfully ignorant. That kind of runs on a little bit. That's kind of bad. After all, that's what Sonic would do. He got in a comfortable position and turned on the television to some cartoons. He watched about 30 minutes or so of his favorite cartoon, one about a bird running away from a coyote, He watched about 30 minutes or so of his favorite cartoon, one about a bird running away from a coyote who made up overly complicated contraptions to try and catch the bird. Tails always wondered what would happen if the coyote didn't catch the bird. Would he just walk away and find something else to catch, or would he just lie there and give up? He often saw him and Sonic as the bird and Eggman as... Okay, kind of spelling it out. Fucking dumbass me. What an idiot. In that sense, felt bad for Eggman in some ways. Tails could no longer focus on the cartoon as the back of his mind began to conjure what the fuck? Tails could no longer focus on the cartoon as the back of his mind began to conquer the front of his mind. Where was Sonic? Why did he leave so early? These thoughts rang like a gong going off in his head. Something didn't feel right. Something felt awful. Did you know his name was Wile E. Coyote? Yeah, I know. I was just like, I don't know. For some fucking reason, I was being vague about it. A baby squirrel came hopping around the corner of a rock. This is where it gets like needlessly edgy. A baby squirrel came hopping around the corner of a rock, looking for some nuts to store in his tree for winter. For winter was almost 4 months away. The squirrel was told by his father to collect as many as he could. He was taught well by his dad. He wanted to impress him, so he went deeper and more further away from the tree because that's where he would find the biggest and most fresh nuts. Bruh. He then saw Sonic the Hedgehog. He knew who he was because his dad could never stop talking about him and how he saved him from Dr. Robotnik. He dropped all of his nuts and ran up to the hedgehog, not realizing the odd nature of him and how he was not even breathing. Before the squirrel even got to him, Sonic turned around in a split second, as if he just teleported to face the other direction, and kicked the squirrel in the teeth. Sonic's eyes were still closed, and his hands were no longer open wide. Instead, they were in a half open, half closed pose, as if he was about to grab something. The squirrel started to cry. About 4 of his front teeth were cracked and bleeding. The squirrel hesitantly opened his tear-filled eyes and saw Sonic's legs crouched, getting prepared for a pounce. Sonic opened his eyes and revealed bloodshot, pupilless, and Sonic opened up his eyes to reveal bloodshot, pupilless eyes and began to bare his needle-like teeth. He then, in the span of a second, jumped at the squirrel before his cries reached the maximum volume. Even if he was able to cry at an alarming level to essentially send up a flare for his parents, Sonic's distorted screeching filled the forest and making a few crows fly out of the branches. Months later, Sonic was now missing for 5 months now, and the snow was at its peak of about 2 feet. Tails laid near the fireplace with bags under his eyes and a coffee mug. The phone rang, but Tails ignored it. Ever since Amy Rose stopped seeing Sonic around, she's been calling the house every day. It was annoying Tails, so he for the first time rudely ignored it, hoping she won't be one of the people to call again. What the fuck? Why is it word? Am I just so autistic I cannot fucking read this shit? It was annoying Tails, so for the first time he rudely ignored it, hoping she won't be one of the people to call again after not picking up. Luckily, she never called back and instead left a voice message. After the first day without Sonic, Tails almost had a heart attack from breathing so quickly. He's been an absolute depressing mess, and so had been Amy. He could tell from every call he had answered, she was sounding more and more hopeless, and this bled into Tails. Only the last few calls sounded a bit weird, but he was so caught up in his own emotions, he could have cared less. I'm pretty sure he said, like, he could have not have cared less, I guess. Tails curious as to what she had left on the voicemail because he had nothing else better to do, played the voicemail. She said, Amy said, "Hey, it's me." Or no, wait, what the fuck? "Hey, it's me," she said in a nervous tone. "Tails, I need you to stop by my place. ... Tails thought to himself, what a joke. "The last thing I wanted to see was my best friend's stalker," he said, following a chug of his coffee. "I think I saw Sonic outside of my window last night." Tails' eyes widened. A beam of hope shot through the thick, cold air and into his home, and a feeling Tails missed for a while had shot through him. Tails, now wearing a scarf and thermal jacket, and was walking around the bushes that were blocking the view of Amy's house. He had walked for a few hours because the tornado's propellers were frozen, and that the entire machine refused to transform into a car, or anything for that matter. His heart stopped as he came around the bush to see Amy's 2-story house with shattered windows and a door that opened outward to be opened inward. The door was found to be cracked and chipped around the edges where the door was supposed to stop being opening outward. It's just say the door was cracked open. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. This is so badly worded. Not caring about who had done it, Tails rushed inside to see if Amy was all right. He walked in and immediately threw up. A very vile copper smell filled the house. It stung his nose even after the smell had settled in his nostrils. He looked upstairs to see claw markings around the wallpaper and furniture thrown about. He walked past the stairs because the smell wasn't coming from there. It was coming from the basement. Tails had been to Amy's house about 2 times to pick up some stuff she obviously stole from Sonic to add to her shrine. Though he had never been to her basement. Thoughts of what would be down there began to crawl like a spider into Tails' mind. He made his way to the door and fearfully began to turn the handle, only to be presented with a stairway leading down into an abyss. He pulled out his tiny portable flashlight he kept on him and flicked it on. He mainly used it to gaze into the machines he built while working on them, and because of that, the light wasn't strong as a normal flashlight, but it was just enough to see about a foot ahead. The copper smell was now to a degree of unbearable, yet Tails' curiosity gripped him, Tails' curiosity gripped him by the mental hand and dragged him forward. To her shrine, yeah. With the shaking hands, he reached for the doorknob. Of the door and turned it with a dangerous curiosity. The horrid smell had now essentially smacked Tails in the face and effectively made him throw up on the side. Amy's basement was ridiculously large for her small 2-story house. His piss-poor excuse for a flashlight could only get him to see about a foot ahead by pointing it at the ground. It was dark, really dark. With that in mind, Tails figured to himself that there must be a light switch somewhere. He felt around the wall, not daring to fully step in the room. All of a sudden, Tails' hand stopped reaching to the friction. What the fuck? All of a sudden, Tails' hand stopped reaching to the friction of the cold concrete walls and began to slip as if he touched something wet and sticky. Tails lowered his hand to the flashlight to see a dark brown red substance. Tails began to feel nothing. He didn't know how to react for his brain was now going haywire, telling him to experience multiple contradicting emotions at once. He just stood there looking at his hand for what felt like hours. He had never even seen blood in his entire life before, aside from the scraping his finger on sharp metal before. But this was different. This blood wasn't fresh. It was saturated, dry, and old. Tails slowly but casually closed the door, walked up the stairs, what might as well have been a demo of hell, and dragged his feet out of the house and back to his house, all while staring at his hand. He eventually got back to his place and sat down. He was so empty. He was so empty of all feelings, and he didn't even take off his jacket, scarf, and gloves, even though they reeked of death. Time drifted on for hours, and the sun had vanished and the moon had taken its place. The house was now dead. Tails snapped out of it as he heard snow quickly moving around, being kicked up and thrown about. He bolted up to the window to see random tracks encircling his house. His heartbeat increased in intervals. He couldn't possibly fathom from his 13-year-old brain what it was. The only thing he could think was whatever happened to Amy's house possibly followed him back to his. Tails looked around and stopped investigating the tracks. A dark blue color was seen out of the corner of his eye, but as soon as he flicked his head to the direction, the color disappeared. Dude, I forgot how, there's definitely something to like about this. I think I'm really, really good at the tension. I'm really good at the fucking tension. Holy shit. This is actually kind of good a little bit. He looked back inside of the house that had now been filled with a very light moonlight. He tried to scout a weapon of sorts just in case. More sounds of snow being thrown around. Tails jerked his head to see the window and saw Sonic about 30 feet, looking in some random direction. His heart stopped. He had not seen his friends for what felt like several years. It had only been a few months. Despite being soulmates, he didn't call out to Sonic. He didn't know why he didn't. His body just told him no. He gripped the edge of the window as he started. He had to eye color. He had to eye color. He's delusional. It's not real. Tails. Stop, Dude, bro, he's schizo. He just searching for a weapon. Snow. Okay. 10 feet away. Whoa, hold on. I'm skipping forward. What the fuck? Creeped the edge of the window as he stared at his long-lost friend. Tails turned around to continue searching for a weapon, only to have his attention back at the window as he heard the sound of snow again. Sonic was closer, about 10 feet away, still looking in the same direction. Tails turned to try and see what his companion was looking at, what he saw. His companion was looking at what he saw was like what happened in Amy's basement. He didn't know how to react. He saw a large building of black where Eggman's base used to be. It was in the same outline as his base, but all the fancy lights were assuringly turned off. More shifting of snow was heard, and Sonic was now looking at Tails about 8 feet with pupils that stared at him, yet they shifted around rapidly, almost aggressively, like his eyes were having a seizure. Tails ran away from the window and grabbed the screwdriver he had been eyeing on his coffee table and took a chair and propped it up against the door. He began to cry. Something was happening, something Tails and his 13-year-old mind could never comprehend. Despite being intelligent and well-rounded, Tails was still a child. He ran up the stairs, tightly gripped the screwdriver, and lifted the window just in case. He reminded himself of what happened at Amy's house. Her windows were busted and open, and glass was on the outside, meaning she probably tried to escape but was too late. He began to hear horrid sounds of scratching outside the door. Tails openly sobbed. He never saw what happened to Amy, but he knew whatever it was going to happen to him. And the blood still on his glove still reminded him of whatever will happen. What? Whatever will happen, it's not going to be good. The door suddenly got kicked down with a loud smash as the cracking of wood and the door being knocked off its hinges filled the room and echoed for a while until it filled with footsteps. Sonic then slowly peered from down the stairs, looking forward. His body cracked to look at Tails, and his head slowly cracked to look at him with his empty eyes. He had no more pupils. Instead, he had bloodshot white eyes. He tilted his head as if he was curious, and his mouth opened, showing Tails his bright white smile. His teeth then slowly blackened as began to drool black liquid from his mouth. Tails' body shook, and he jumped out the window and started propelling his tails to help him fly. He turned around to see Sonic looking at Tails from the window as his jaw began to unhinge and the flesh around it started to tear. His hands and limbs grew bigger while the skin around them began to tear as well. At the tip of his finger sprouted sharpened bone. Tails whipped his head forward, and his face was now frozen in fear and tears. He saw something no child, no man should ever see. His nose was runny, and there was snot covering his fur below his nose because of the cold. I'm over-explaining. Jesus Christ. He didn't know where to go. So he flew his way to Eggman's factory. He began to get tired as he cautiously took a break in the snow and turned back to look at the house to make sure Sonic wasn't following him. He repeated this several times until he got to the blackened city. The place was in ruins. It looked like it had been shut down for months. Because of the lack of power and the streets were filled with robots fallen over and frozen. They looked like they couldn't move even if they wanted to. That is if they had no power. Tails made his way to the center and frantically started looking for a sign of life because he knew Sonic would be upon him soon if he hadn't reached him already. The feeling when you look back at something you wrote and it's full of a bunch of typos, yeah, literally. I'm way better now. See, I'm a self-taught writer. That's the thing. I'm self-taught for the most part. Like, I never paid attention much in English class, but I always liked writing in my own way. Like, he saw doors open to a tower, beckoning him to walk in. He ran inside the closed door and shut. Tails had no idea how long he had left to live, so he bolted through the hallway, going through every open door. The path of doors eventually led him down to a dark room where candles lit everywhere, and Eggman. He hung from the ceiling, his body facing the opposite direction. His body slowly spun around to reveal that Eggman's stomach had been exploded outwards, like something came out of him. I liked writing, but I hated English class. Yeah. Should remake this for Halloween, dude. Maybe, honestly, maybe. Tails spun around to the empty hallway. He heard loud, heavy footsteps. It didn't sound like Sonic, but instead the footsteps of a bloodthirsty creature. What looked like Sonic finally peered its head around the corner, its eyes bloodshot and mouth full of jagged, cracked teeth. His jaw unhinged so much that the skin at the bottom of his mouth fell off, revealing bone. The thing that moved forward sluggishly revealed a long neck holding Sonic's head that stretched Sonic's original neck out where it ripped. The body came into a view, showing elongated limbs, the skin around the joints almost ripping. The creature came howling towards him. Tails couldn't move out of shock and fear and let the creature tackle him, making him drop the screwdriver he once held. They rolled onto each other, and the creature started to beat and scratch at Tails' face. Tails was crying in pain as the skin was being torn by the sharpened bone and being bruised by the bare knuckle punches. He couldn't move, and the pain was getting worse. Tails tried to reach for the screwdriver, but the creature slammed its fist onto Tails' open hand, crushing the small bones within. Just as Tails was about to give up, he saw a candle beside him. He swiftly grabbed it and turned and slammed to the side of the creature's face, lighting a side of it on fire. For some reason, its black liquid was flammable. This made the creature fall back in pain. There was hope now in his eyes. It can be hurt. It's mortal, he said to himself. That's a bit fucking much for a 13-year-old kid. He grabbed the screwdriver and ran at the creature before getting backhanded out of the way. As the creature turned around, its face was now burnt and part of its eye began to swell as if it was going to pop. Tails recovered, and so did the creature. They both stared with intensity, the creature hissing and whipping the black liquid from its face so it won't catch fire so easily next time. Tails baring his teeth in rage. He had never felt this before in his entire life. It was pure primal rage. All of the anger Tails had felt was now free. No longer bottled up. It was fight or die. No more running away. Tails saw another candle at his side and kicked it at the creature as a distraction as he ran up and tackled it, stabbing it several times in the body, neck, and head. Tails was getting equally mauled by the creature's knife-like fingers, but he didn't care. The creature's head slung back and launched forward to bite Tails in the neck. This made Tails scream and recoil. The creature shoved Tails back on his butt and went for another pounce, but Tails reeled back his legs and kicked forward as the creature landed on him, effectively pushing it back. The creature landed on a candle, and due to it being covered in black liquid, it caught on fire. Its body was now a thrashing pile of screaming flame. It let out its last cry of pain before it fell back slumped and dead. Tails applied pressure to his neck with all of his might and tried to stop the bleeding. He looked around him and saw cult-like drawings, books with pentagrams opened, and many other drawings. He then looked back at the hellish fiend with utmost disgust, and then he spat on it with the blood mixed saliva spit. He grabbed a snuffed out candle, walked over to the corpse of hell itself, still burning, lit the candle, and threw it at the book and papers, lighting them ablaze. Damn, dude! Tails don't fuck around, dude! Tails stumbled out of the building and tightened his scarf around his neck. It was over, but in the process, Tails was left broken. He had nobody to turn to except for himself. Tails didn't need anybody anymore. He was now a man. Friends questioned him about what happened the other day. After the forest was found to have piles of dead animal bodies, Amy found her body ripped in half and organs strung about, blood splattering all of her equipment saved for when she would have her lucky moment with Sonic, when he drank the wrong drink and passed out. Bro, oh my god, I forgot I wrote that. What the fuck? Dude, she was gonna Cosby Sonic. Holy shit, I forgot I wrote that. What the fuck? Holy shit. When the threat of Eggman's regime fell because of the entire factory lit ablaze, Sonic nowhere to be seen. And now the obvious injuries across his body and face. He never responded to them, though. If people knew what had really happened, it would mean the end of all innocence. Tails privately decided to take one for the team, and just settle down and enjoy what little he had left in his life. It's best we all moved on. That's what he ended up saying when one of his old friends asked many years later. I sniff Sharpies. That's it. That's it, dude. These are the comments. He says, yeah, it made me feel ill. Very few things can do that to me, so congrats on that, I guess. Basically, Sonic ends up being possessed by some kind of demon supernatural entity and goes on a murder spree, including his girlfriend, and gets killed by his own best friend. That's fucked up. Doesn't really help that I'm watching TRG's Sonic Adventure 1 Let's Play on YouTube right now and just finished Tails section playthrough. I guess this is good. The overabundance of blood and gore in Anchills is kind of cliche, but it makes sense considering the murder seems to be a big part of the story. I do like the whole demonic ritual thing that you had going. Explain why Sonic ended up going psycho and killing folks. Very few Sonic pastas seem to use that. But there's some capitalization, possessive punctuation mistakes, so that'll figure into my rating, as will some typos. Rating 8.75, decent enough, but could be better. Dude! That's what I'm talking about. I get 8.75, dude. Alright. And that's it. That's it. That's the creepypasta. That's the one that I wrote. No, yeah, like I actually, the tension was actually like really fucking good at some points. That's kind of crazy.